Hi, I'm Steve and this is 4Minds. Today's video is what is dissociation? Dissociation is formally known as multiple personality disorder, and there are 5 different types of dissociation: amnesia, depersonalisation, derealisation, identity confusion and identity alteration. Believe it or not, dissociation is completely normal. Like, for example, you're driving to work one day and you do not remember your drive there. That is dissociation. You've disassociated from your drive. It's a way the brain gets rid of useless information. It is also a natural skill. It's not just like something that happens. You can trigger a dissociative state. But what makes it a disorder is the severity of the dissociative state. It is when your sense of reality, feelings, thoughts, your perceptions and beliefs get disconnected from yourself when you dissociate. I will describe the different types of dissociation. With dissociative amnesia, you may experience depersonalisation, derealisation and identity confusion. But the amnesia part of it is you can forget personal information, forgetting appointments, forgetting most of your day, unable to recall incidents or experiences. Depersonalisation is when your body feels like unreal, dissolving or changing. You may also experience out-of-body experiences like watching your life through a movie projector. Derealisation is believing that the world is unreal, or people are robots, or even believe objects are changing. There was an incident many years ago when someone was taken to court and they used the matrix theory to get themselves sectioned rather than going to prison, because they believed that the world around them was unreal, making them believe that their actions didn't have any consequences. Identity confusion is when you're unable to identify yourself or define yourself. Identity alteration is when your personality changes, it alters, and your behaviour changes. Dissociative disorders is a repeated episodes and the severity of these repeated episodes as well. Some people describe dissociation as internal chaos, which impacts on everyday life. To the people around you, you may appear that you are functioning normally when you are clearly not. But it all depends on the severity. You might be dealing or coping with it well. Depersonalisation disorder, you might have strong feelings of detachment or feeling unreal, experience mild to moderate derealisation and mild identity confusion. Dissociative fugue is basically that you have temporary loss of identity. You don't know who you are. You might, when you're in this fugue, you might travel to unknown locations, assume a new identity and assume a new life. The fugue can last a few days, but it can last much longer. You might also experience amnesia, identity confusion and identity alteration, which after you come out of this fugue, you might not know what's going on, so you might be confused, you might feel guilt, shame, embarrassed and even depressed. And finally, dissociative identity disorder, DID. This is the most complex form of dissociative disorders. There is a lot that goes into it and a lot of side effects, and it more or less combines all the other dissociative disorders. Because it's formally known as multiple personality disorder, people often thought it was a personality disorder when it actually isn't. And it includes severe identity For example, one day you might be you, but then a few hours later or the next day, you don't remember that day because you weren't you were someone completely different. To other people, they might notice behaviour changes, the way you talk, the way you write. It's basically living with separate personalities that might come out at any time. Because it's basically separate personalities, you may not be in control all the time. So your thoughts and behaviour will be completely different from your own. Each personality has basically their own personality, their own hobbies, interests, what food they like, what movies they like. It's technically you, but at the same time it's a completely different you. It's not you at all, it's a different personality. It's just like having someone else live inside your head. So basically when you don't remember, it's the dissociative amnesia, usually meaning that another alter or personality is in charge at that time or in control. But it also includes depersonalisation and derealisation. There are a bunch of other symptoms that come along with DID, and such as depression, anxiety and panic attacks, but it is not entirely sure that it's separate disorders or involved with DID. But some of these symptoms may become more aware when another personality is out. It's not always the dominant personality that gets it. Like when another personality or alter is out, they might suffer with depression, but as the dominant personality, you may not at all. DID can affect your perception, your beliefs, your behaviour, your personality, and your feelings, making everyday life quite difficult. So looking at a person and saying that, oh, doesn't look like you have a difficult life, or it looks like you're coping well with this disorder, it's not a good way of telling the severity of the disorder. It's not really a physical thing you can see. The causes of dissociation, not just DID, is usually childhood abuse, like physical and sexual abuse, not getting the love or the comfort you need as a child. It usually has to begin before the age of 5, and it has to be continuous throughout your childhood as well, usually. And some people get this disorder more easily than others due to how our brains work. Some people can disassociate quite easily, and they're the people that are most affected. For example, in one of my first therapy sessions, my counsellor realised that I could disassociate quite easily, and she asked me to think of a pink elephant for 60 seconds and then said, okay, think of something completely different, don't think about the pink elephant. And I was able to stop thinking about it completely and think about something else. That just shows the level of your natural skill of disassociating. So when you go and get diagnosed, there's going to be several questionnaires, and they're usually quite long as well, just because it can get mixed up with several other disorders. Like years ago, someone thought I had paranoid schizophrenia when it's actually not the case. It just gets mixed up quite easily just because of like mood changes and mood swings. But you have to have a combination of the dissociative disorders and the symptoms that come along with it. They will check for if you've had childhood trauma or abuse. They will refer to your counsellor or therapist to ask about what you've talked about, to see if you've said anything about your child. They will also see if you've reported any blank spells, basically memory relapses, to see if you've forgotten part of your day. You'll also see if you hear voices, which is one of the most common symptoms of dissociation, usually with DID. And the voices can be your alters or your other personalities inside your head. That's it for this video. It's probably going to be split up in a two-parter, so I apologise if there's a big chunk missed out or just abruptly ended. I will see you in the next video. Bye bye. Dissociation is difficult, but full recovery is possible. Hope.